Welcome back, Mr. Duffy Ford. How you feeling, my brother?
Recording in progress.
So good to see you. I am feeling awesome. So I think we got the tech figured out a little bit here. So we got the behind the scenes vibes streaming online live for the whole world to see. And we've got you and I here in front of our beautiful webinar crew. What's a win for you and Paula today?
Well, we woke up and we're both alive, and I'm on here on this podcast with you and all these great folks. So it's awesome.
I love to hear it, man. Well, thank you for hopping in. I've been looking forward very much to this podcast. First off, always such a great time hanging out with you and your wife. Your wife made it to the last Freedom Life retreat, but you were one of the very early comers in the community, and I just want to go back. I just want to hear more about who Duffy is, where you live, what you and Paula do. What's pre-real estate Duffy's life?
Pre-real estate Duffy. Let's see. Paul and I just built our dream house in Shelbyville, Kentucky, on 2 acres, and we have lakefront access, so we wake up every morning, just a beautiful view out back, and got a dog and a cat, and love to travel. I've got a 32-year-old son who just decided to join the Army, so excited and proud about that, but also a little scared.
Yeah?
And let's see, what else? Got a dog and a cat, and I'm a retired engineer. Wife Paula still does healthcare consulting, so that's us.
I like that. So when it comes to you and your life, and before we get into like the nitty gritty of real estate and all the things, and everybody gets to hear about that side of you, what drives you as the man, as the business owner that you are? Because it's always been your heart that caused me to love the things you do.
Well, to be completely honest, the first thing that drove me to it was the thought of building wealth and financial freedom. Those two things were big, but just I love to help people, especially new people starting out. Even seasoned investors, if they'll call me with an issue, I try to connect them up with the right people and help them solve any issues they may have. So, yeah, just love to help people.
I love that. Something that stands out to me about you, Duffy, is you've always done this business because you're an engineer brain, right? So you've always done this business so systematically. And I know we have some of our crew that are the action brain types that go just make stuff happen and figure it out later. But then there's also the other side, and some people on here who maybe delay, wanting to make sure things are perfect or getting into the nitty-gritty details, but you never let your engineer brain stop you, that I've seen, from really continuing to systematically grow. So what's that look like for you?
Well, I'm definitely a thinker brain, and I definitely like to analyze things. I like to look at the numbers. I love spreadsheets. I remember when I first got into this business, I spent hours creating this spreadsheet to calculate the repairs and, had the after repair value, and I show it to my buddy who kind of got me started wholesaling, and he said, yeah, that's really great. Let me show you how I do it. He walked through the house, and in about 90 seconds came within a couple of $100 of what I had spent hours on that spreadsheet. And it just hit me, and he said, you know what, if you're off a couple of $1,000, who cares? If you buy it cheap enough, who cares? So it's good to analyze numbers, but you can't let it paralyze you. So you got to take action.
Analyze, don't paralyze. I like that.
Yeah.
What's some of the advice? Well, if you don't mind, just kind of share what's your portfolio, what's your investing business look like today?
We've got about 22 doors, mostly single family on an eightplex with a partner. We also have a short-term rental. I've probably done about a little over 100 deals, you know, a good mix of wholesale, retail, um, short-term rentals, done a lot of single-family deals, bought a lot of stuff using the old traditional burr method, which that worked good, especially back when I was doing it, when you could get 3 and 4% interest loans or 4.5% loans. They work great. But yeah, that's our portfolio and our business.
How's it been shifting to creative portfolios for you?
Good, but also difficult because, you know, I did the other way for over 20 years, and it's kind of difficult letting go of, or even the thought of selling off some of your properties. It's a little bit scary, and then when you sell one, it's like, oh man, there goes one of my babies. So it's been a little difficult, to be honest.
Yeah.
But the thing about the bobsled method, I think back to when I started. If I could have thrown this into the mix, how much faster and how much more simple it would have been to grow to an even much larger number.
Absolutely.
So,
What if you had to talk to the 20-year ago Duffy? What would you tell him?
I would have told myself to buy more quicker.
Mm.
The things I did finance, I did a lot of them on 30-year loans. I would have done 15 or 20. Definitely get educated. You know, when I started off, I did spend some money. You know, if I did a deal or two, I'd get a little bit of education, but yeah, I would have spent much more on education earlier. I had some good mentors, but they were just kind of local guys around town. So, you know, if you don't have someone you can find, pay for one. Yeah, get educated. That's key. I tell everyone to get started. Get educated and network.
That's good advice. What's some of the more tough things you've gone through in the real estate investing? You've been doing it through ups and downs. What's one of the tougher problems you encounter?
You know, things you mentioned about the finances. You know, you're acquiring these assets and you're watching your wealth grow up on paper, but then sometimes at the end of the day, end of the month, you get your bank account, you're like, you get your statements like, where'd all my money go?
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely, you know, some ups and downs financially. Knock on wood, they've never hit too hard, but yeah.
Very cool.
Deal flow, you know, has always been a little bit difficult for me too. So I hit a lot of kind of peaks and valleys. You know, I might get 3 deals like this, and then I might go a long stretch of time until I find something.
What keeps you excited right now?
Wow, you know, just growth, growing both personally and our portfolio and our business. Getting to the stage where I've got some free time so I can give more back and help
Yeah,
Those things keep me excited.
love that. What's your big goal? Like the next, I don't know, 10 years. What's exciting for Duffy? What do you plan on doing?
Well, Paula is soon to retire from her job. Um, so yeah, just to totally replace her income, which I think we're pretty close to being there.
Yeah, that's good perspective. You, outside of real estate, and I'm going to come back to that, but and thank you again for hopping in today, because every time I get to hang out with you, you know, online or in person, it's a gift, you know, and something I think that all of you who know Duffy, you know this is true, is that his information is powerful, but when you get to hang out with him and actually know who Duffy is in his heart, it becomes, you know, even double, triple powerful, because there's so much more to Duffy than just what you initially get, you know, meeting. And I think it's such a gift that you give to the world. But I know you've been doing some financial educational classes and various other things. What's the big dream in that capacity of your life?
Well, I did sign up to be a Dave Ramsey coach, but I have not gotten too far down that path yet, and I don't know exactly what that's going to look like exactly, but I think that's one thing our education system does just a terrible job of preparing people financially. You know, you got to get people that get out of Ivy League schools with 2 degrees that don't know squat about money. So
Yeah.
That's one of my big goals is to help people financially, whether it's real estate wise or just basic figuring out how to balance a checkbook and make a budget. I mean, yeah, so pretty excited about that too.
Good. I like that. What's another question right now you wish I'd asked you that I haven't yet asked you?
Let's see. You know, usually on these panel things, everyone gets asked about their favorite deal.
Yeah.
So that's always a good question.
Let's do it. What's your favorite one?
All right. Well, I got 3 real quick ones. The first favorite was my first one, and it was a $2,300 wholesale deal. But you know, after you look at however many houses I looked at, probably 30 or 40 houses, and submitting 25 offers, and you ever wonder, am I ever going to get something under contract? Finally get one and do a little wholesale deal and getting that shut up check. So that was a cool one. And I went and looked at this sixplex with a good friend of mine, and you know, we were just talking about the numbers getting there, and it's like, wow, this thing in 350 is a great deal, and or maybe they were asking 335 or whatever, and we got there and they said, you know, the buy it now price is 350, and he looked at me and I looked at him. He said, you good? I said, yeah, you good? So we shook his hand, so we got it under contract for 350. We were supposed to close in a week, and he called me a day later and he said, what would you think about selling that sixplex? And I said, well, there's always a price. And he said, what about 450? And I'm like, sold. And we did have to close on it, cash, I think. I can't even remember how the deal went, but anyway, we sold it the next day and split $100,000. So any day you can hold a house for one day and make 50 grand. That's a pretty good day.
I like that.
And the last one is one of the last, it was just an old Burr method deal. You know, we bought it, it was a junker, needed fixing up, put some money in it, but held it about 10 years and rented it, cash flowed good for 10 years and sold it. And I think the check was 138,000 and some change, which we 1031 into our newest short-term rent. So those are three of my three favorites.
I love that. What would you say if somebody's on here looking to either get started or ramp up their real estate investing? About half the people on here have done deal or deals, and about half are looking for their first deal. What's some words of wisdom you would give?
Yeah, I always go back to the get educated, find a mentor, network. So many great things come from networking, whether it's deals, whether it's private lenders. Just, you know, if you network enough, any problem you come up with, there's someone. If your network's good enough, there's someone that can solve that problem for you.
Yeah.
And as far as getting educated, you know, if you've got a buddy you can take to lunch once a week, that's great, but a lot of people don't have that. Pay for education, I definitely recommend that. You put money, you put skin in the game. It just, you know, kicks you in the butt to take action, because at some point you think, wow, I'm paying a lot of money for this. I need to start doing something to get it back.
Let me ask you this while you're on that topic of paying for education, because you was one of the pretty early comers into the mastermind community when me and Leo launched, and you've renewed year after year. What is it for you that caused you to hop in and now to continue in year 2 and beyond like you have been?
Well, the thing that got me to hop in was you, because I think I took some Ron LeGrand courses back kind of not long after you got it started with him, and I just saw you kind of rise through the ranks there and be very successful there. So then I started following you on Facebook, and we got together for lunch one day, and you know, I just like your story. I like seeing what you've done real estate wise, and then meeting with you, you can just tell you've got a servant's heart and love to help people, and so that was why I jumped in. The thing that keeps me in is, again, you and Leo. Be surrounded by cutting edge people. You know, I've been around a few years, so I used to be super high tech and could do just about anything on a computer, but that's not so much the case anymore. Just the whole community, you know, it's just filled with a bunch of great people.
Thanks for sharing that. And I'll ask you 2 more questions. One being, what would you say? I know there were several who booked calls to talk to the coaches. What would you say to somebody who has been contemplating applying to become a part but hadn't took the leap yet?
Take the leap. I mean, I can't recommend these guys enough, this community enough. You know, I've spent, I probably spent over 100,000 in various forms of education, boot camps, seminars, coaching, mentoring over the previous 17 years, and you know, this program's hands down better than, and not knocking any of the other ones. you know, Ron LeGrand's program, I mean, it was great. Doing the few deals I did after that, I mean, it probably grew my net worth several $100,000. So it was worth it. I've been in some other programs that were great too, but yeah, this is the best. It's just a great mix of real estate knowledge. The community's great, and it's a good overall like life coach system, life growth. You know, they're not just worried about putting dollars in your bank account. They want to help you get healthier and have better relationships at home and with other people, be better business leaders, speakers, everything. So
Thanks for sharing that, man. And for everyone on here, like, what's a power-packed wisdom message? When I'm ready to go grab me some lunch here in about 3 minutes, and we'll have a 30-minute break here before we get back to it. What's a power-packed word of wisdom or message you wanna give to everybody, heavy on your mind?
you know, I would say a message. A lot of people watching, seeing this stuff for the first time might think, oh, you know, these numbers he's throwing around, $50,000 deal, they just don't seem real. But they are, and I don't know if any of you follow me on Facebook. I just shared a very mediocre marginal terms deal I did, and you know, if it cashed out a week after I bought it, you know, I might have made $10 or $12 or $15,000. But it's a house. If I hold it for 4 or 5 years, and then it gets cashed out, man, that will turn into a $40,000 or $50,000 deal. So even if you only do a handful of these deals a year, and say you pick up 5 houses and 2 of them sell pretty quickly, and the snowball just starts growing, and you get to a point where your wealth goes up to, you know, places several years ago I could only dream of, and it puts you in a really good position in life. So yeah, that's one thing I mentioned. You know, some of these numbers when you first see them just seem crazy to believe, but they're true, and they're doable. You know, I'm not the smartest fella in the world, and I've done pretty good. So
I love that. Well, good perspective, man. And again, thank you not only for what you do in real estate. It's an awesome thing, but just the heart you have and the way you help. You know, I'm always getting whispers in the community of nuggets that you're dropping and sharing, and I just appreciate that so much. Not only what we're able to share, but what you give back in the community. And I think it's a gift, and it's a gift to get to have you on here today and share. So thank you again for being on. How do people reach you, or how do people follow you, or get in touch with you if they want to hear more about Duffy?
well, I'm on Facebook. So I'm on Instagram. I don't do a whole lot there. My cell, 502-472. I'll type it in the chat too. 4796. So shoot me a text with your name and number, and that you saw me on here.
Amazing.
I'll get back to you.
I appreciate that so much. Thank you again, Duffy, and thank you to all of you for everything. Thank you so much, and thank you.
Thanks for having me, brother.
Absolutely. Guys, if you have not already done it, there's Duffy's info in the chat. And if you've not already done it, book your call. We're going to mute out here, and we are going to go to lunch break for exactly 31 minutes. I will be back on here live, so don't go anywhere. Thank you again, Duffy.
Thank you, brother.
Recording stopped.
All right. Thank you, team, for listening in. It was a behind-the-scenes interview with Duffy, and we will get it out online. Recorded. It's recorded, so we're going to reposting that for your convenience. Thanks for hopping in.